Hey there, you made it. You found the QR code and here you are. And so you are here because you are ready to start tapping into new revenue streams in your life, right? To be in that space where we don't always have to trade time for money, right? It gets to be in more of an ease and flow kind of situation. What I love about this concept is it really ties in the whole feeling of flow, which we all know as occupational therapists is so important to our client outcomes. Getting into that space of really, losing track of time and being really immersed in an activity that we love to do. So before we get into this and we talk all about how you can have all these untapped revenue streams in your life and you can tap into them, let's first begin with, why did you become an occupational therapist? What is it that, drove you into the OT field and why do you love it? What are those things that really drive you and keep you in the field and keep you passionate about what you do and in that space of why you do it? For me, I actually didn't start out as an occupational therapist in college. I first started out as an education major, and I wanted to teach, right? I love teaching. I had done some like internship, like co-op things when I was in high school. And I got to learn a little bit about what it's like to really be like a hands-on teacher in an elementary school. And I loved every minute of it. I loved all the fun stuff, like the stickers and all of that, and playing with the kiddos. And I even loved grading the papers and getting to teach them those very basic skills. Second grade was my favorite. I loved getting to do all of the fun things with the second graders. They're such a happy mix where they're getting a little independent, but they definitely need some help at the same time. And so I enjoyed that. But when I got into college, I found that I really loved the medical field and I wasn't going to get any of that in teaching, right? I was definitely lacking that. And so I had always had this dream of being a doctor, but I loved teaching, and which is what had me in education. And so combine the two and OT is born, right? So I found occupational therapy, transferred, and I started my OT degree. And I have to be honest, the biggest reason I love it is because I love the fact that I could have real connections with my patients. I could really go in, get to know them, understand what matters most to them, and be able to help them with gaining the skills that they need in order to really do what matters most, right? But what I found over the years is all of the changes led to less and less and less of me being able to have that holistic education kind of focused approach. I started to head into more of needing to just meet needs and achieve goals and check boxes. And I missed the connections that I had had with my clients for so long. But we find those moments, those moments where you're working with somebody on achieving their goal and you're working with them and trying to help them. And all of a sudden they can do it, right? All of a sudden they can put their shirt on themselves, or they can finally get up off the floor, which means they're able to get on the floor and play with their kids or their grandkids. Those moments, those achievements, it's not just about, how they've increased their range of motion or their strength, even their independence of dressing. It's about what it means to them. It means that she doesn't have to wake her husband anymore in the early morning because he likes to sleep in and she likes to get up early, but she can't get her shirt on herself anymore. And so he's been having to wake up and help her, and that he doesn't have to do that anymore. She doesn't have to sacrifice and lay in bed, and he doesn't have to sacrifice and wake up at 5 a.m. with her. They get to go back to their routine. And so when we think about these concepts of why we really do what we do in the field of OT, start to recognize the incredible skill sets that we have built right into our own lives. So a lot of times the skill sets that you have that are so incredible, you're missing them. You don't see them. You're not able to acknowledge that you have these incredible skills that somebody who is outside of your world doesn't see. Those times when you work with a patient and you teach them something new, right? You teach them a new skill or how to do something a little bit easier, and they look at you and think, oh my gosh, I've been doing it like this for so long. It's been so hard. And you come in here and just in 2 seconds, you give me this piece of equipment or you show me this new method of dressing, and it's so much easier. And now I don't have to struggle anymore. And they're blown away by your expertise. But to you, it doesn't always seem like a big skill, right? It doesn't always seem like that special. It's like, well, I just taught you how a new technique for putting on your pants, like no big deal, right? It doesn't seem like it's that important. But to them, it meant the world. So the truth is, there are so many opportunities to take what it is that you are an expert on within the field of OT and be able to take those skill sets and monetize them in a new creative kind of way. the options are limitless. Anything from memberships, membership boxes, being able to create some kind of life coaching component, right? Get into a life coaching component. You could definitely be helping people. Maybe you're really great at writing and you love like the research side of things and you love writing and publishing. Maybe you could be helping with that side of things. Maybe you're in academia and you're like, yeah, I love being in academia, but I would really love to be able to mentor people with writing because I love writing and I love editing, and being able to be in that space of really coaching people through the editing and writing process so that they can get published, right? Imagine being able to have that impact, because it wouldn't just be the impact on the person, right? It would be everybody that read everything that they published, right? So there's so many spaces. Maybe you're like, yeah, but I'm not really into academia, right? That's not me. But what if it's the way, the technique that you have, the opportunity that you have? What if it's the way that you work with families? What if when you're working with families, you're able to just explain things to them in a different kind of way? You can take the skill set that you already have and monetize them to create new revenue streams in your life. Not only because you can make more money and not trade time for money, right? Yeah, I mean, of course that's important. I know for me, this has given me so many opportunities. I was working as an OT. I had an amazing job. I was making 6 figures as an OT, which none of my other jobs had made that much. So I definitely felt really great about the fact that I was able to be so successful within the field. But the thing is, money isn't always the indicator of what we can consider success. So even though I was making good money, even though I loved what I was doing in home health, I definitely had a lot of flexibility with my schedule and all of the things, I was still trading time for money, right? I was still going to work, earning money by the hour and/or salary plus overtime, right? And I was taking that time that I was spending working to make more money meant less time with my kids, right? So I was trading my time for my money, right? And so that meant that I was making more money to work overtime, but I was having less time with my kids in the process. And I just one day was like, I don't know that I want to keep doing that, right? Like, isn't there a better way to do this? And so this is where the untapped revenue streams are fantastic. It doesn't mean we stop working in the field of OT. It doesn't mean that we don't keep doing something that we love to do, but how much it changes your life to have this new revenue stream, and the impact of the lives that you're going to have when you start to go down this path. I have worked with hundreds of clients at this point, and it has been amazing to see the results that they've had in their life. And so our focus on this is fulfillment first. And so when I first started out in business, my goal was literally replace my 9-to-5 income, because I had just had a baby and I wanted to be home with my baby, but I didn't just have any baby. I had a baby who had a stroke. And so there were a lot of medical needs. There were a lot of medical concerns. Getting her into daycare was next to impossible because nobody wanted a baby who had seizures, and they felt like this was a risk for them. And so as a mom, this was really stressful for me, because I was like, how am I going to do all of the things? How am I going to not work but still pay the bills and be able to provide for my daughter what she needs? Not to mention, I had 2 boys, right? I had 2 boys, older brothers, right? So they were young too. They were 5 and 6. And I just didn't want to have to keep doing things the way that I had been doing them. And so I asked myself that question: how can I shift and pivot and do something that I still really love to do, but do it in a way where I get to create my own life? I get to put my fulfillment first, my fulfillment of getting to be home with my kids, my fulfillment of getting to homeschool my kids. That was a dream that I always had, but I didn't quite know how to fit it in. And so, it started out as like a little bit of dabbling with a blog and looking up some things on life coaching and figuring out what path I wanted to go. And as somebody who has gone to school for many years to get my OT degree and to get my PhD and checking all of the education boxes along the way, what I found was that there's a lot out there about coaching where like you're getting these coaching certifications and all of these different things. And the truth is, like, let's unveil that truth, right? Let's reveal that right now. We don't need to have any of those types of certifications or signed certificates or anything like that to be able to take what you already know, what you already went to school for. You already have the certification to take your skill set and monetize it in a completely different way. And at the same time, help people who need help. We know in the field of OT, we are definitely making a difference in our patients' lives, but that sometimes we're having to, discharge before we want to. We're not always able to give everything that we know that we can give. We don't always get to go in with that holistic approach. Imagine being able to tie in alternative methods, right? Like spirituality. What if we could bring more spirituality into what we do? What if you're able to bring in still the biomechanical components, but you were able to do this in a way where you were able to ask your client really what their patient goals are and make those your primary goals rather than the secondary goals to the ones that have to be met in order for reimbursement by insurance, right? What if we could be completely client-centered because you set up your own model to be that way? I have created a business from the ground up in 2020 in the heat of COVID and all the crazy with a daughter with medical needs and seizures and 2 little boys who needed to be homeschooled. I built a business and I am now making multiple 6 figures, doing what I love, being able to be home with my family each and every day, still get to teach occupational therapy. And if I wanted to, I could go and continue to work in the field and go out and get a home health position, PRN, and be able to work and see patients too. I have the opportunity to make choices each and every day because I put fulfillment first. I ask myself, what do I want most out of each and every day? What do I want my days to look like? What time do I want to wake up? And how do I want my days to align? I look at myself every day and say, okay, what's my energetic alignment today? Okay, I'm feeling like out of between 1 and 10, I'm feeling like I'm like a 6, right? And as a 6, I'm feeling like I really want to take action on writing some emails today. I want to write a blog post today. I'm going to do a live today. I'm going to do this training for you right now. And I get to really feel into what I want to do, how I want to do it, and when I want to do those things. And by doing this and creating this fulfillment first model, it has helped hundreds of clients be able to achieve not only their business goals, because yeah, I mean, money is great and business is fantastic, but it's not about that. And it's not even about starting a business. It's about being able to put your needs as a human first. And when we decide what our needs are, what our desires are, where we want to go, who we want to be, and how we want to be that person, we are putting fulfillment first. And when we fill our cup and we put fulfillment first, and you choose fulfillment first, everything else that you want in your life will soon follow. So ask yourself that question. I became an OT because, and what could I be doing right now in my life today to get me one step closer to choosing fulfillment first in everything that I do? It's just one decision away. So if you want to talk more about how you can choose fulfillment first, maybe this means being able to monetize the skill set that you already have, or maybe this is just making a couple little micro shifts in your life. But if you're ready to learn how you can choose fulfillment first and transform your entire life in the process, book a call with me, choose fulfillment first, and I will see you on the call.